Some say this war against Iran is about nuclear weapons. Others say it's about the military, oil, terrorism, Israel's existence, or even China. But for a minute, let's pause and take Trump at his word that this war is about nuclear weapons. Interestingly, Iran's nuclear program started under the US-supported Shah regime in 1968. They signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, but since the 1979 revolution, there have always been allegations that Tehran is trying to build the N-bomb.
The idea of Iran having a nuclear weapon is unacceptable. And it's unacceptable to the United States, and it's unacceptable to the nations we're working with in the United Nations to send a common message.
It has denied the accusation, been party to the nuclear treaty, signed a deal with the US in 2015, and agreed to give up stockpiling enriched uranium. You know one country that has done none of that and is still in America's good books? Israel. Why has the world been quiet about Israel's nuclear program? What this current war has done is not only unmask the double standards, but also confront a difficult question. What is Israel's red line for using its nuclear weapons? I'm Ananya Datta. Let's get to the bottom of this. You see, for decades, Israel's nuclear program has been treated as an open secret. Everybody knows about it, but nobody talks about it. Israel has never officially acknowledged possessing nuclear weapons. It hasn't signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, and when asked directly about it, it shies away from answering.
Why Israel has the right to acquire nuclear weapons, but no other Middle Eastern countries has that same right? Thank you.
One should ask himself about every nation who is bringing stabilization to the area and who is bringing chaos. So today you understand that Iran is a problem for instability and Israel is a source for peace and stability. Thank you.
Question about nuclear capability.
I did. Thank you.
The origins of Israel's program go back to the 1950s and 60s, when Israel, with mostly French assistance, built the Dimona nuclear facility, the same one that recently came under fire. By the late 1960s, US intelligence had concluded that Israel had successfully developed nuclear weapons, even though the program had been concealed under the guise of peaceful research.
Israel cannot remain silent forever over their possession of nuclear weapons. Everybody attacks Iran, thinking that Iran is developing nuclear capabilities. I believe that Israel is a threat for the region and for its neighbors because it clearly has nuclear weapons. Israel is an occupier and an invading force, and Israel is enforcing a state of terror upon the region.
Israel has not publicly conducted a nuclear test, but is universally believed to possess nuclear arms. Estimates swing from as low as 70 to some say it's 300. Stockholm International Peace Research Institute suggests that Israel has around 80 nuclear warheads. Of these, about 30 are gravity bombs for delivery by aircraft, like the ones dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The remaining 50 weapons will have to be delivered by ballistic missiles. Now, these are allegedly stored with their mobile launchers in caves at a military base east of Jerusalem. Israel also possesses fissile material stockpiles to build about 200 more nuclear bombs. Like other nuclear-armed states, Israel is believed to be modernizing its arsenal as well. I spoke to Daniel Levy, the president of the US Middle East Project. He formerly worked as an advisor in Israeli Prime Minister Barak's office and as an official negotiator, and also as the lead Israeli drafter of the informal Geneva Initiative peace plan. Levy tells us about what is often hush-hush in Israel.
I don't even know if one would call it an open secret. Israel isn't acknowledged. It doesn't itself say it. There's every so often a debate in Israel whether to maintain or remove the opacity, such as it is over Israel's nuclear weapon status. But that is a known factual thing. And it's one of the curious things throughout this is Israel keeps saying, if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, well, you have a nuclear weapon.
So Israel neither confirms nor denies the existence of its weapons. And what this ambiguity has done is that it has allowed the international community to avoid confronting a difficult question. Under what circumstances would Israel actually use its nuclear weapons? You see, only 9 countries possess nuclear weapons in our world: United States, Russia, China, France, the UK, India, Pakistan, North Korea, and Israel. And in most doctrines, the threshold for nuclear use is deliberately set extraordinarily high, which means something catastrophic has to happen for a country to even think about using a nuclear weapon. And some of them follow the no first use policy, which ensures that a nation will only use a nuclear weapon if it comes under a nuclear attack. Now, we owe this level of caution to the aftermath of the Hiroshima-Nagasaki disaster. But Israel has no such policy, simply because it refuses to accept that it has a bomb to begin with. This big question mark matters more today than any point in recent decades. That is because of the current war in Iran. Daniel, what do you think Israel's red line for using its nuclear weapons is?
It's something we can't know, is my assumption, because that question will be asked if and when it is felt necessary to be asked. I don't think it's a likely outcome. So that would be my bottom line.
But don't you think the current war makes defining this red line even more important?
Yes, but it's not something that's going to be defined in public, and therefore we will play a guessing game.
Israel has often called its wars with its neighbors existential. Its security narrative is rooted in the belief that the country could face destruction if a war turns decisively against it. Also because the Iranians and its proxies in Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq and Yemen have chanted death to Israel for the longest time. Existential is also the same line Israel draws for the use of its nuclear weapons. This is often called the Samson Option, the idea that Israel could resort to nuclear weapons if faced with defeat. Whether or not such a doctrine formally exists, the logic behind it is clear. If a state genuinely believes its existence is threatened, the pressure to escalate dramatically becomes far greater.
Israel has repeatedly stated that it will not be the first to introduce nuclear weapons into the Middle East region.
Just last week, Iran struck the Israeli city of Dimona, which houses a key nuclear facility. And quickly, the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, the global watchdog, called for restraint to avoid a nuclear accident. Now, this tells us two things. One, that Iran knows where Israel houses its nuclear facilities. And two, the IAEA knows that Israel possesses nuclear material. Why else would the global atomic watchdog warn of a nuclear accident?
Practically, logically, rationally, it makes no sense that throughout these decades of everyone being so exercised by Iran's nuclear program, the idea was not resolutely put on the table that maybe the solution is a region free of weapons of mass destruction. I think this could give an impetus to either nuclear proliferation or to raising that question of denuclearization. I think a number of states in the region who we've talked about in the past as will they eventually decide to make that leap will be asking that question.
Another factor rarely discussed in strategic debates is the political climate within Israel that is changing as we speak. The current Israeli government is widely described as the most hardline in the country's history, with ministers who openly advocate extreme positions regarding Palestinians and regional adversaries. And that makes the threshold of what could be perceived as an existential threat even lower.
An unfortunate nuclear-armed state that is led today by people of an increasingly ideological, fundamentalist, religious bent seems to be quite a dangerous place to be in terms of Israel.
Then I'm wondering, how has West Asia's only existing nuclear arsenal remained largely beyond debate?
You know, I don't think one can come at that question without taking a step back and just acknowledging the extent to which America expends diplomatic, political capital for its relationship with Israel. The extent to which the West is willing to carry water for Israel. And that comes from, in some cases, historic guilt, in some cases, having a very effective lobby, in some cases, seeing in Israel
Nuclear deterrence relies on perception as much as reality. For example, experts say that one of the main reasons no Western power ever talks about a war with North Korea is because it has publicly acknowledged that it possesses nuclear weapons and conveniently leaves out details about how many.
In fact, it may be reasonable to ask, would we be here if Iran had made the opposite decision and had decided it would go nuclear? Would that have created the deterrence from going into a war like this?
So in many ways, this war is doing two things. One, inching Israel's hands towards the nuclear button and forcing Iran to get a nuclear bomb to avoid a war like this from happening ever again. And that's something to think about. And one can only hope that the US has thought about. I'm Ananya Datta. Thanks to Daniel for joining us on this episode. Do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, goodbye.